as a woman, I just felt like I wanted to, there aren't as many representations of women as there should be, and the majority of the history of cinema has been told through the eyes of male authors. And so it felt really important to me that, especially because of the environment in which the film is set, which is this luxury department store, it felt like a women's environment. And so it felt very interesting to us to look at this world through the perspective of three women from three different generations that are responding to the restrictions in very different ways. I think that our world is getting more and more horrific. Like, the general direction in which things were going was towards a more progressive opening of values and rights. And it does feel like right now we're moving backwards. One of the stories that inspired this film was of this young couple in Iran who were dancing in front of the Freedom Tower in Tehran and were sentenced to 10 years in prison because it's illegal to dance in public in Iran.
Soft authoritarianism has crept into many of our societies. I think Vladimir Putin's Russia is an example of how we see a society slowly slide over the years. We were seeing that in Hungary, but I think we in the United States experienced that, especially with the way ICE has been entering into people's homes and dragging people out of cars. We see the potential for part of the government to become a paramilitary force. And in Western societies, we all have a great level of comfort. At the moment, there are no protests against the bombing of Lebanon, or in the United States, the protests around the Iran war are more to do with the fact that people's gasoline prices have gone up rather than the war itself. The film itself hints a little bit at that. We get a little glimpse into the character of Angine and her social life at the dinner table with her friends. She is a character herself who is comfortable. Like, she has beauty, she gets to shop, she lives a very privileged lifestyle. And we can see that for her, an act of rebellion has additional costs.
I think that one of the reasons that we love cinema is that we see it as a machine for empathy. One of the beauties is that we're all versed in film. We can all read film. Yeah, we're definitely inspired by many different things.
There's a Magritte painting. There was an influence that we were thinking about called Les Amants, the lovers. The feeling of that painting is the feeling of the film. That's the sort of late.
We wanted it to be one of the postcards, but right before we began shooting, I watched a film by a Greek director. The film is called Fingernails, and in the first 15 minutes of the film, that image is a poster in the background, and I thought, now we can't use it. It was also such a direct reference.
It was Mr. Klein, Joseph Losey, Wings of Desire. And obviously, Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Carol are films that are obviously very...
And also Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster, about social conformity and...
I'd seen Tsangaris' work. I would say Buñuel, though. Out of everything, Buñuel was kind of a filmmaker that allows absurd and surreal situations to just exist without needing explanation.
I think Alex has a very rare imagination. One of his traits that I fell in love with was just his ability to think in original ways.
I think both of us, but Natalie especially, is very attuned to the emotional tenor of the story, and is really able to feel the story whilst it's just ideas and words on a page, because if you can feel it and you know that if it emotionally impacts you at that stage just thinking about the story, then you know that it's possible that the film will have an emotional impact. A lot of our creative partnership is about almost tempering one another's ideas. Someone will have a very strong opinion and a strong idea in one direction, and sometimes we think about film as being a very idiosyncratic, auteur-led medium, but there's a lot of value in ideas being exchanged
Alex and I love the same things, but our strengths are slightly different, both in a technical skill, but also just in terms of like the films that we bring as references. Alex has a more comedic bent and mine is more dark. And so, you know, like Alex will always come with a slightly more whimsical idea. And then for me, what I was always trying to do was make it feel like it was grounded and make it feel like it was a reality.
I think that a kiss is one of those few human acts that has not been commoditized. Like, it seems to be outside of capitalism. Sex is inside capitalism, like the image. Dating itself, you know, with swiping and Tinder, but just like the very act of kissing, it's the most intimate thing that we can do. And obviously the film plays on the fact that this act is so beautiful, and yet at the same time, if you think about it as an abstraction, it's kind of disgusting. And you know, it's unusual in our society to exchange fluids that way. Well, I sometimes feel like an Oscar is something that your friends and family win, rather than you. In the sense that, like in all cultural spheres, it's hard to say whether you've achieved anything. It reassures them.
That you're not wasting your time. No, I think for me, the Oscar is a beautiful symbol and a reminder to continue. I don't think it changed that much for us. I think a lot of the changes for us personally started to happen months before, just as the film began to circulate more widely.
It's a wonderful validation of also all of our team's work. Our cast, our heads of department, a lot of them are women. It's a very female-led crew. Chief, like our DOP, chief electrician, head grip, you know, roles that are not traditionally helmed by women.
So my whole family comes from Romania, from Bucharest in particular, and my grandmother was an actress, and my father was a poet, and my mother left when she was quite young, so her entire career, you know, blossomed in the United States. But she left as a political exile. Her name is Roxana Marcoc. She and my father were sort of family friends. And connected in the US. And my grandparents came over to New York as well. And I grew up in a completely Romanian household in the sense that, I mean, no one spoke English yet. And so I think that what feels particularly familiar to me is just a sort of like spirit. And there's something that feels incredibly familiar about being here.